Back again. Another episode of A Muslim and an Atheist Breaks Bread. What you saying, Pops?
I'm good, man. Cold.
You cold? Should I put the heating on?
It's
I'm
gonna
alright,
make
you know,
noise.
to be fair, but... Huh?
It's gonna make noise, isn't it?
No, I'll do after. I'll
let's
do
just-
after.
let's
We'll
just
dive
run, let's
in.
just
Yeah,
run,
yeah.
man.
Okay, so we've got... Again, this was requested in the comments by someone who subscribed. So shout out to all the people who are watching the video, subscribing and actually giving us suggestions of videos that we should watch. I feel like we've done something similar to this before, but we'll do it. It's called the Sigiriya, ancient sky city built with advanced technology. So let's have a deep dive into this. I know you have I'm say an affinity to, but you know, your thoughts or your belief system is that there was ancient technologies in it, like certain things here were built by people before. If whether we're talking about the Watchers, whether we're talking about the Nephilim, you know,
There was a before.
yeah, exactly. This is what I'm
Older
saying.
than 2,000 years old. Yeah, I think there's enough evidence of that now.
Yeah. So, there's always been evidence of that. I mean, 2,000 years is very much a Western thing, isn't it?
It's a Christian
It's a
thing.
Christian thing. This is what I'm trying to say. But Hindus, like their religion's way older than that.
Yeah, but
So-
again, study of Hinduism or religions generally isn't taught at school. It is now.
Definitely,
But in
definitely.
the old days, it was assembly in the morning and, you know, there is a green hill far away and all that stuff, man. You get me? It wasn't, you know, we colonized and took people's thing. It was very set and specific.
Yeah. I mean, when we're talking about like ancient civilizations or things, we have to look at things like So did I show you Graham Hancock? I think I showed you Graham Hancock. He's big on ancient civilization. One of the main things being like, you know, Atlantis, the lost sea of Atlantis. And he talks about, you know, how there was this thing called the Young Hydraeus, which basically was a meteor shower that basically just wiped out loads of these advanced civilizations that were here before. So basically we had to just start again. Like, but there was definitely a before where people were doing like real amazing things. So there is an argument for it. I'm never one to say that there isn't, and I will always look for things to not confirm what I think, or even to disagree with what I think, just so I can have a broader perspective and form my idea from that.
I think world history, real history, should just be available to everybody. What the mysteries about everything and hiding all these secrets and, you know.
It's power though, that isn't
It
it?
was
That's government.
about plunder, innit? So South America had silver. They wanted it. They never really glorified Aztec kingdoms. They just went and plundered it after all the gold and everything's you start hearing about. You know, Iran, when they was attacking Saddam Hussein, he didn't hear about no Anunnaki or nothing like that, or Stargates and stuff. You hear about that stuff after. These places are real and have a relative part in our history. But initially, as young people in this country, unless it's specific to your education brief, you ain't gonna hear them things. And our parents are Christians and drive that message. You know, the concept of anything else. So until you're old enough to actually look into it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
true.
everyone around you thinks you're strange because you have a wider interest than the set brief. It doesn't really help.
It doesn't help. It's just the way that you convey these things, though. I think like certain people when they're doing it, because especially when you're younger, it's kind of like you're always trying to teach people, which is very off-putting. It's like preachy, and it's like, oh yeah, but do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? It's almost like you're always trying to prove you're smarter than people. So that's very like not attractive for people to listen to. So they just don't listen to you. And that's when you become the outcast. But I think if you like sit down with people and know your audience, and you can have real conversations, but you have to be prepared for the back and forth. You have to be prepared for that. And that's the difference between just reading something, innit? A lot of people read one thing and then think they know everything about that thing. So they've read one thing, so all they're doing is regurgitating information. They haven't actually analysed what they've read or took the parts of what they've read that, they find are agreeable or disagreeable, and then research them further. It's just like, oh, well, I read this, so this must be true. So no, well, there's counterpoints to what you're telling me. So what about the counterpoints? Because not only do you have to believe in what you're saying, you have to tell me why the counterpoints don't work for it to not make sense.
Yeah, but that's a level of education, and like I said, the discussions start long before education arrives about lots of things that inform and direct us as young people. So a lot of it is misinformation, hearsay and jargon.
Yeah.
People have got their phones, but as I said, if you don't ask the right question, you don't get the right answer.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into this then. So is it, I don't know how to pronounce it, Sigiriya, ancient sky city built with advanced technology. Let's get straight into it.
Stories of the advanced capabilities of the Hindu deities of old are found all throughout India. But just south of the Indian subcontinent lies the magnificent island country of Sri Lanka. This is a place known for its breathtaking landscapes, diverse culture, and various UNESCO World Heritage Sites. One of the most impressive places in Sri Lanka is Sigiriya, a site often named the eighth wonder of the world. Sigiriya was also home to an ancient city that sat atop the monolithic rock towering 650 feet over the town of Dambulla in the Matale district of Sri Lanka. The site attracts thousands of tourists daily and has been a UNESCO Heritage Site since 1982. Many believe that the giant monolithic rock looks unnatural because of its perfectly flat top, which almost looks like it's been cut at a precise angle. According to modern archaeologists, the earliest settlement on top of Sigiriya was the Lion's Fortress, built in the 5th century AD. The bulk of the site, its palaces, and its enormous granite water tank was constructed under the command of a rogue king known as Kashyap. However, the locals believe this ancient site was built thousands of years before that by an ancient Hindu god named Ravana, who was part of a race of beings known as the Asura. These deities are said to have come down from the sky and ruled over portions of humanity. In one of our recent videos, we discussed in detail the magnificent Rama Setu, an ancient bridge built between India and Sri Lanka by the god Rama, who waged war against Ravana. There we provided much evidence supporting the belief that Rama Setu was indeed an artificial bridge, built thousands of years ago by unknown beings. In these Hindu epics, it is said that Ravana ruled Sri Lanka from his palace in Sigiriya, and that the palace was destroyed after the war with Rama. Is it possible that what we see today in Sigiriya is the remains of the ruined palace of Ravana? If the stories about Rama Setu turned out to be real historical accounts, is it possible that the stories about Sigiriya were also real? And could Sigiriya have been used by ancient civilizations, and perhaps even by the Hindu deities, thousands of years before King Kashyap built his fortress there? Before we find out, make sure to like this video and also subscribe to our channel so you can receive more videos like this one. The area surrounding Sigiriya shows signs of human habitation stretching back to the Mesolithic period, some 5,000 years ago. There was also evidence of the various rock shelters and caves in the area having been used by Buddhist monks in the last few centuries before the Common Era. Despite that, conventional archaeologists would have us believe that the site's first use was during the reign of King Kashyap at the end of the 5th century. Kashyap was king of Sri Lanka from 473 to 495 CE, and he only rose to power after organizing the assassination of his father, before going on to usurp the throne from under his brother, who was the rightful heir. Fearing for his life, legends state that King Kashyap moved to the area surrounding Sigiriya. There he built a fortress on top of the megalithic rock, believing it would be impenetrable to his brother's army. However, Kashyap's army was eventually defeated, and instead of being captured by the invading army, Kashyap would commit suicide. After his death, his brother Moggallana gave the site of Sigiriya to the Buddhist monks, where it remained a monastery until the 14th century. The site of Sigiriya was abandoned at some point during the 15th century and remained uninhabited. Westerners first discovered the place where Jonathan Forbes, a major in the British Army, came across the site during a horseback ride. Following Forbes' discovery of the ancient ruins in Sigiriya, various Western archaeological crews performed small excavations on the area in the following years, and they were baffled by what they found. There were various telltale signs of advanced engineering capabilities at Sigiriya. The ancient city had one of the best preserved examples of urban planning, and the site's layout shows techniques and technology that were far more advanced than what was thought possible during this time period. The city's layout boasts symmetrical and asymmetrical aspects, which builders intentionally put in place to work with the site's natural surroundings. There were various structures at the site, but archaeologists didn't know their purpose, so the general belief was that they were citadels, palaces, houses, and lavish gardens. One portion of the site resembles a step pyramid, with features similar to those seen throughout Mesoamerica. On the city's west side lies another park, and here we find additional signs of an advanced ancient engineering. The park contains very...
How big is this place, man? It's huge, isn't it? It's good though. Like, I wonder how they did build that stuff on the top.
I wonder how they got water up there.
That's true.
Contains various water-retaining structures, including a sophisticated hydraulic system that provided water to the gardens. This unique design was comprised of canals, lakes, dams, and even water pumps, showing that in-depth planning went into the construction of this site. Some of these hydraulic systems still provide water to the area, even to this day. The many structures found on top of the monolithic rock were made from clay bricks. This baffles archaeologists as they struggle to explain how the ancient builders carried an estimated 3 million bricks to the top of the rock, as there were no signs of any stairways from the ground to the top. The metal stairways present at the site today were only built in the last century, so tourists could visit the site. Without a proper stairway...
That's crazy. How did they get all that up there?
Rope.
You think?
Yo, man had a spaceship, man had an aeroplane. How would you get it up there? Put it in your helicopter and fly it up, innit?
Even if you had a rope, how would you get the rope up there either as well?
Tight on the helicopter.
But yeah, like that's... You know.
Well, logically, it's got to be in it.
Well, the only thing you could have is people who could
Lots
just
of elephants.
climb in it. No, elephants can't get up there.
No, they would be on the ground. You put a long string up in a pulley, and they pull it and lift
Yeah,
it up.
but what I'm saying is, how do you get the pulley up there?
One man have to climb up there, innit?
So that's what I'm saying. You'd have someone who could
They get
climb up there,
They
and
could get up there.
or like you say, just there was advanced technologies that they didn't know about.
Probably.
Maybe did have some drone type helicopter thing. Because that is crazy. So you said as well, how have they got the water up there? Like, that's a rock as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's all trees and that growing out of it.
Well, that's because it's unkept now. Whereas when it was being chiseled, carved, then I'm sure it was a different imagery probably covered in. So
tourists could visit the site. Without a proper stairway to the top, it seems an almost impossible task to cart the bricks or the materials to make them up through the thick forest and find a way to the top of the monolithic rock. While the bricks may seem like an impressive feature of the site, what's even more interesting is the huge blocks of white marble which make up many of the paths and palace steps of the settlement. The white marble used in construction is not native to the area, and archaeologists are still unsure of where the marble was sourced. Each of the marble blocks is extremely heavy, and there are thousands of them. So how did these ancient builders get tons of heavy marble blocks to the top of the monolithic rock without any stairs? This has led many people to question the archaeological view of how this ancient city was built. With the modern metal stairs at the site, it can still take up to 2 hours to get to the top. So how did primitive peoples carry tons of materials there without any clear pathway? Various archaeologists have noticed strange tool marks which look like narrow channels all along the side of the rock. Archaeologists confirm that these markings were carved in ancient times, yet there is no answer as to how they were carved into the side of the rock at places where there are no slopes for humans to stand. There are also profound circular holes drilled into the monolithic rock close to its peak. Again, archaeologists struggle to explain how these holes were drilled with primitive tools. Additionally, near the drilled holes, we can find these strange groove marks. Their purpose, or how they were made, remains a complete mystery. Right next to the groove marks, we can find another drill hole, which goes very deep into the rock. All of these strange markings look like they were made with some sort of advanced machines that drilled the rock or even melted it. However, the most impressive feature of the entire site is not the bricks, marble blocks, or even unusual drill holes. Instead, it is an enormous granite water tank found in the middle of the site. From a distance, it would appear that this water tank was made from granite blocks, but as you approach the tank, you realize that it is actually carved into the extremely tough granite rock. The huge tank is 90 feet long, 68 feet wide, and almost 7 feet deep. This means over 3,500 tons of granite would have had to been removed by hand to create this structure. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth, so if humans of this period had been using primitive chisels and hammers, it would have taken years to remove. So did ancient workers really grind away for years to hollow out this granite tank? Or are we looking at evidence of some kind of advanced technology? If you visit the site and look at the granite pool, what you will notice is that there are no signs of chisel or hammer marks. Instead, you see long stretches of scoop-like marks that resemble those seen on megalithic sites in Egypt and Peru. Various scholars have suggested that the ancient builders knew how to manipulate the frequency of rocks, thus making them soft and much easier to transform and carve. Could this be how they removed so much granite from the top of Sigiriya? An impressive feature of the tank is that it never dries up, not even during the incredibly warmer season in Sri Lanka. Water always stays in the tank, which is an engineering marvel even to us with our modern technology. The tank appears to collect water through percolation, a process where liquid slowly passes through a filter. But the tank also has a drainage system underneath which ensures it never overflows, even during Sri Lanka's wet monsoon season. All of these engineering marvels create many unanswered questions concerning the construction of the site of Sigiriya. From various unusual scoop marks on the granite to the vast amount of material required to build the many structures, all indicate that we are looking at a much more ancient site, possibly even one used in pre-Diluvian times. Could Sigiriya be the remnants of a now lost ancient civilization that perished during a flood or natural catastrophe? Or could this site, high in the sky, have been used as a refuge site during the flood? The locals of the surrounding area not only believe this, but have legends that suggest this was not only the work of an advanced civilization, but of one who came down from the heavens. As we have already mentioned, there are no signs of ancient steps leading to the top of the structure. Many researchers have suggested that because there were no stairs, the ancient builders of this site might have possessed anti-gravity technology and perhaps flying vehicles. This is an idea that has a parallel in various local traditions of the area. According to legends, the city of Sigiriya was created by a group of deities who descended from the sky. They came to earth and modeled Sigiriya on the abode of their god Kubera, who was the god of wealth. Various other local legends assure visitors that the city of Sigiriya is the palace of Ravana, an ancient god-king of Sri Lanka. The legend also states that the enormous granite tank was the swimming pool of Ravana, and that the oldest portions of the site were also built by him. According to ancient texts collected from the regions of Sri Lanka and India, Ravana was not born as a normal human, but instead his ancestors came from the sky. It's said that Ravana belonged to a race known as the Asura, who are described in the Indian texts as powerful superhuman demigods who came to earth thousands of years ago. Many believe these stories are not just mythology, but ancient historical accounts of otherworldly visitors who came to earth. Is it possible that the Asuras were the original builders of Sigiriya? Builders who used advanced forms of technology to lift all of the material required for the city's construction? Throughout Hindu mythology, we can find numerous references to Vimanas, which were the flying vehicles the gods used to travel from heaven to earth and around the planet. One of India's most sacred texts, the Mahabharata, speaks of aerial cities which belong to the Asuras, the same race of gods that Ravana belongs to. Could it be possible that the Asuras used Vimanas to aid in the construction of the city of Sigiriya? Some sources claim that the Asuras were hybrid beings, and Ravana himself is sometimes referred to as a reptilian god in Hindu mythology. The city of Sigiriya may hold some of the answers surrounding his true identity. As you enter the site of Sigiriya, you first notice two giant carved feet sitting at the front gate. The locals refer to these as lion's claws, but lions have 4 large claws and 1 small. The claws in Sigiriya are 3, which makes many people to believe that they actually depicted some sort of reptilian creature. Most ancient reptiles had 3 large toes, and this is precisely what we observe at the entrance of Sigiriya. Some locals refer to these feet as those of Ravana. Does that mean that Ravana was some sort of reptilian humanoid? In some ancient texts, it is claimed that Ravana was not fully human, only his father was. On the other hand, his mother was a completely different species and may have been a reptilian. So, when Ravana was born, it's said he was of a hybrid species. Some have even suggested a link between Ravana and the Nephilim giants mentioned in the ancient Christian and Hebrew texts. Ravana was known to have various human features, but others were unlike any average human. It's well known that Ravana was at least 10 feet tall, and some of the more interesting features included his ability to shapeshift and deceive others by doing so. This is a prevalent theme among those who are deemed reptilian. Another feature Ravana possessed was his ability to become almost invisible by blending with the surrounding environment. Clues of Ravana's reptilian appearance can be found in all ancient texts. One text, known as the Ramakyan, clearly states that Ravana had green lizard-like skin. Even in modern times, various reptiles, including snakes, are named after the reptilian king Ravana. According to the ancient Tamil and Sinhala texts, the original inhabitants of Sri Lanka were a race of beings known as the Naga. Naga is the modern word for snake, but according to these ancient texts, Naga was the name of these reptilian hybrid beings who were eventually...
Wait, weren't they called the Naga in the last video we just watched as well? They weren't it? You said it took over the Naga tribes.
Wasn't that? I don't know. Was it Naga tribes?
Yeah, it was. I'm sure.
were eventually forced to live underground, and some believe are still living there to this day. The more you research the ancient texts, the stranger the stories about Sri Lanka and Sigiriya become. What do you think about the site of Sigiriya? Was it somehow built by primitive humans with basic tools? Or is there more to the story? Could human beings, without any advanced technology, have carried over 3 million bricks of marble blocks to the top of the rock, while also cutting out 3.5 tons of granite and removing it from the site without any stairs? Do you think conventional archaeologists were wrong to ascribe this site to builders in the 5th century? Should they instead embrace the idea that ancient builders with an unknown form of advanced technology are the original inhabitants of this site? And could it even have been built by Ravana or his extraterrestrial race known as the Asura? Is it possible that the site of Sigiriya was the home to an advanced group of reptilian gods who possessed technology far beyond their human counterparts? And did these Asura come down from the sky to intermingle with human beings and change the course of our history, just as all ancient texts convey? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, tell us what other mysteries you want us to cover in our next video, as we're always open to your suggestions. Please like this video if you liked it.
Go on, Dad, I'll let you kick off with this one.
Well, there's a big rock in Australia similar to that.
Is it?
There's a couple in Africa similar to that. Again, South Africa.
What, with like cities on the top of them and stuff?
Well, people have lived occupied, tends to be royal households.
Okay.
So, you know, the Aborigines have a big rock.
Yes,
and
yes. That's a famous one. It's in the film, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a few of them around the place. Again, how and what they're used for, we'll never know because our history's fractured. Yeah, intriguing. I believe in, you know, they tell us there are Amanas and spaceships and technology of that time, and then we're supposed to switch off to that information. Oh, how did they get up there? Hang on, you already told us they got ships.
Yeah, they got spaceship. Yeah, it's like selective.
You get me? So either we was progressive or we wasn't. Either there was technology. Clearly there was technology. There's no questions to be asked anyway. They chiseling granite. Come on, let's move past that, man. They've been studying that for like 100 years and they're still asking us, how did they do granite?
It is crazy. Because like you've just seen there's that place, they've built like a whole city on a rock with nothing. There's no way for people. How did the people even live up there to get up there? So we're saying like, yeah, there's some people they have people climb up there, ain't it? How did everyone else get up there? You're only going to have like 1 or 2 man that are really going to be able to climb that.
2-hour ladder climb. By the sound of it.
2-hour ladder climb.
No, 2 hours on the stairs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably longer than that on the ladder, to be honest. Actually, it's probably shorter because the ladder's straight. But either way, yeah, there's just remarkable things in the world. Like I said, it's like,
it's not remarkable if you put it in context. They had
ships.
They did all these things.
No. Even if they had ships, it's still remarkable. Even if they had things that flew up there, it's still remarkable. Considering that, you know, people today struggle to... They've got a whole irrigation system. They've got pumps. They've got water where there should be no water. They've got
hundreds of thousands of years later.
Yeah, still working. You know what I mean?
The jungle's growing it out and it's still working.
It's still working. So that's remarkable, regardless of how it happened.
We're taught to believe that we're modern man, innit?
Yes.
This is the thinking. So everything we do. But the point is they can't answer the old questions, never mind modern. Yeah, we've got some technology which is up to point. But, you know, promoting the absence of technology from creation until we came on the map is ludicrous.
Yeah, I think that notion's like... I think it's still mainstream. Like, you speak to people, like, there's certain people are always just never going to believe it. Like, if I showed Phil or someone like that, they're like BBC people. And if the BBC didn't say it, then it's not real.
They go with the script.
Yeah. But I think most people now, because the world is smaller, have a more open point of view on history, especially history. So yeah, man, I think that was amazing. Anyway, I'd like to go there, Sri Lanka. Looks like a beautiful place. I'd love to like stand on top of that rock and see it, even though I don't like heights. So it might be a bit of a problem. But if I could get to the top, I'd like to go and stand up there and see what I want. I think I'd rather go there than I actually go to like, you know, the pyramids. Like everyone goes to Chichen Itza and that, innit? I'd like to go to there to see what's going on.
There's not really. It doesn't. You know, you're limited there, innit? Because you've got to get up the rock and down the rock. Other than that, you've got no access to anything really, have you?
Yeah, but that's like anywhere you go. It's like going to the Taj
Well,
Mahal.
the
It's like
pyramids,
going
you
to
cannot
the...
see them when you're in the vicinity all the time, and there's an industry built up around it. So everything's centered around the pyramids. The industry's already built there. Is remote.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess, because, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I've been to the pyramids, and yeah. Yeah, you can't see them from everywhere, I guess. But yeah, so this is Sigiriya, ancient sky city built with advanced technology. I would have to agree. I think that was built with advanced technology. So yeah, we out. Peace.